Hi. I love this card. Hey, John, you're gonna have to shut my door or your door. Okay, thanks. My BFF sent me this. You think I'm the perfect little girl next door? No, I'm not even freaking close. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I wish it were my artwork because I think it's absolutely fan frickin' tastic. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. We have a lot. I have two things again. It's kind of a split deal. Um, Second half is just more of an informative thing, but I am very, very happy to be here. All is well in Livermore, California. Hey, Carol. And it seems as if everybody is, marching along on their wishes. And I have a little bit of a dilemma. So I get Sue Spargo's emails, okay? And I got one this morning. I never, ever, 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 ever do other people's patterns. It's completely against my religion, but I might be switching to a new brand of religion. It is so cute what she sent out today. It's critters and bugs and little baby animals, and it is so cute, so cute. So, here we are gathering together. I love when go, I missed you. I missed you. So today we're going to meet up with Fiona Johnston, and she is from Scotland, of which you will learn that. And she is in the school of itty bitty bitty bitty. And it started with her falling in love with Curvelets, and then she came up with a new product that's pushing it that much further forward. So, first of all, when you see this, you know you wanna hang out with this person. Maybe send her this card. That's her Halloween costume, and I showed that on Monday. Here's the quilt. It's super fun. She loves Halloween. She's got a pretty good Instagram account too, Fiona Johnston. Super cute, super cute. All right, and then I went to her Insta and was checking stuff out. She does love itty bitty bitty, and I adore this picture with the dog, and I just look at all those little itty bitty bitties, and I can't even imagine how long it took her to do that. But we're not supposed to ask that. That just shows that you're a rookie if you ask somebody how long did it take. Don't ask that question. Okay, here's this. Itty bitty bitty bitty. Yeah. Yeah, Fiona Johnston. So I love that Lilo caught up with her. Kristen was with them, and I'm trying to, oh shoot, I was going to show you Kristen's little itty bitty thing that she made me, and I don't know where it is, but Kristen was losing her mind because she loves itty bitty 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 too. So let's see, we're about 4 or 5 minutes into it. Hey, 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 I just see people here I know and care deeply about, which is wonderful. I'm going down here. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and you know who you are. Let's take a look at what Lilo got from Fiona. I was I don't know that I'll ever do it. Well, I did make some of the curvelets, but hers isn't curvelets. It's the next step. So let's take a look see at what Lilo got.
Hi, welcome back. We're with Fiona Johnston. And before we get to all the little goodies on the table that you're all going to love, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to quilting and what you're doing here.
Well, my mom was always a sewer growing up, so I went to the Houston Quilt Show quite a lot because I grew up in Houston, Texas. And I always kind of gravitated more towards the knitting and the lace making and the kind of the nice threads and fibers and stuff. And quilting was my mom's thing. That was like not for me. like do some sewing occasionally. We'd make little pouches or something. And then I got into quilting in about 2017, 2018 and found Instagram because it's just, there's so much inspiration and so much there that like you can see all the pretty fabrics and you see all the like the projects people do, and it was just almost overwhelming in terms of like what was possible and what you could make. So that's what I do now. I moved to Scotland in 2007 and kind of did a little bit of sewing when I was in uni, but it wasn't until about 2018 I really got into quilting.
Yeah. And obviously you got into it pretty deeply.
Yeah, but dove in hard.
Yeah, so you've been doing like jackets and other things.
Yeah, I made a couple quilt jackets. This is a recent one out of Bird is the Word by Ruby Star. I use a lot of Ruby Star fabric because it's really pretty and I love the colors in it. So that's kind of what most of my makes are made out of.
But the reason we're here today is because
I found Curvelets.
Tell us about your finding Curvelets.
So Curvelets came about, I found them during COVID. I was sitting on my phone at home, like most people were, and a person on Instagram, his name's Charles, but his handle is Felt Like Sweets. And he posted this Curvelets block, which is a 1-inch quarter circle, finished quarter circle. I was like, oh, that's cool, it's a bit different. So I ordered the templates from Jen Carlton Bailey, who's in Oregon, and it took about a week to come because I'm in Scotland. So it came in the mail, and I tried them, and they were quick, they were kind of really fun, you could do things with them, you could make quarter circles, half circles, full circles. So I thought, these are really cool. So kind of came up with a project to use them with. And then as I was going, I was like, I wonder if I can make these smaller. So I then discovered I could make them smaller. So I then came up with Curvelitos, which are a 1/2-inch finished quarter circle. So that's what I'm here teaching.
So these are sort of like potato chips. You can't just eat one.
No.
So why don't you walk us through the difference in the regular size that was the original, and then now the smaller ones that you have created.
So this is a good example of the regular size, because this outer circle, the circle here, quarter circle, is a 1-inch finished quarter circle. So this is the original curvelet size.
Right.
And then the inner circle here is the curvelito. So it is a 1/2-inch finished quarter circle. So that is a good kind of example that shows you the difference between the two.
The scale. And so here we have the different parts to make this. Okay, so tell us the difference, because when you're doing this size, this is all done by hand, correct?
All done by hand,
yes. And so when you're jumping from this size down to something that's in this size, do you have to do any kind of adjustment?
You have to be a little bit more precise, because a millimeter makes so much more of a difference here. It would be like when you scale it up, you kind of would make more sense. If you're doing a 6-inch quarter circle, it would be like a millimeter at this size would be like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch at like a bigger size. So kind of once you're scaling down, you need that precision, and you need kind of tinier stitches and just a little bit more care with what you're working on.
Because you were saying that if you're off, then the two pieces are not going to fit together well, where you said with larger 6-inch blocks, you've got some room, you can maybe pull the
fudge it a bit. Yeah, you can kind of stretch one bit or the other bit, because as you're going around your curve, you realize you haven't quite managed to line up the end.
Which never happens to any of us.
Right? Never have any puckers in any of my curves, never.
But in this case, there isn't any room for that.
No, there isn't. So even trying to fit this circle into this circle just looks impossible, and it is a bit tricky, but it works. It does, I promise, because that becomes that.
And it's, as you notice here, it's about the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't enough.
Yeah, so I have a quilt in the show this year, which is basically a half-size version of this block, which means that the outer curve is the 1/2-inch quarter circle, and the inner curve is a 1/4-inch quarter circle. But I'm not convinced I'll ever try an 1/8-inch quarter circle. I think that's a step too far.
Yeah, and so this is circle, and this is a combination, it looks like.
Yeah, so this is kind of mimicking my Ruby Curvelets quilt that was the People's Choice winner in 2023 at QuiltCon. So it's made up of a block of, there's 4 whole circles, there's 8 half circles, and 32 quarter circles in these little blocks.
And let's show you what you made out of something like this. So how about this as a coaster for your Giving your friends.
Totally, stick your cappuccino
I
on that.
wouldn't put anything on that. It is so, I mean, here we have the dime to give you a sense of the scale of this. And then these are
So these are the
templates that are in the
use.
works.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be coming out on the market at some point within the next year, maybe. And so my classes are the first people to get the full template set. And I had some of the ARC add-on set, which is this piece and this piece to make this block. And we're for sale at Jen Carlton Bailey's booth. And she's got a booth at QuiltCon this year as well.
And what is everybody's reaction when they see, I mean, everybody's loving these, and now we've got another challenge.
They kind of question my sanity. They usually say they knew I was a young person because I must have good eyes.
Yes.
It is. They're fun. They're tiny and they're quick because like they're quite small. It only takes a few stitches. You just don't do the math as to how many you need for a full-size quilt. That's never good.
Right. Was that your initial intention, that you were going to make a bed-size quilt out of something like this? And then you did the math?
When I started Curvelets, I made a few and I was like, it'd be really great to make a whole quilt out of these.
Right.
And then you do the math and you're like, well, if I'm making a 70 by 70 quilt, that's, I can't do 70 by 70 off the top of my head, but it's thousands and thousands of pieces. So I was like, no thanks. And that's why I focused on a block at a time. And then I ended up with a quilt that is 56 by 48. That was all Curvelets.
That's still.
So it was still lots of pieces, but it did take 2 years. And I was only ever looking at one block at a time.
Yeah.
So it didn't, in my head, I wasn't making thousands of them.
And so what is it about these teeny tiny things that, has this been a sort of a passion of yours all along, going through life, that you've always enjoyed things on a smaller scale? And so this just really fits in with your.
I think it's the challenge. It's the kind of like, can you go smaller? Can you do the thing? What shapes can you use like a quarter circle for? So it's just kind of it was just a medium to challenge myself, I think. And I've just really enjoyed the hand piecing. It's kind of calming, and it's something you can kind of just sit and make a few blocks and work on.
Right.
So, I mean, tiny is fun. I like tiny foundation paper piecing as well.
Okay.
It's just cute. Tiny things are cute.
Tiny things are cute, yes. Oh, they are.
But then I like big too. Big is fun. Yeah. But it's the extremes maybe. I don't know.
Right.
It's a challenge. I like a challenge. Yeah.
And so in the class, what does someone learn in the class? They're obviously not going to be able to make necessarily something this size.
Not in the 3 hours we have, right. But the goal is they'll have instruction to kind of hopefully finish to make a coaster, basically. Okay. So the idea is that they could then go home and finish making the rest of the 32 quarter circles and like a few more of the half and whole circles.
Right. And is there any consideration fabric-wise? Because you're working on such a small scale. Are there things that you want to avoid as far as fabric choices? I
tend to use finer weaves of fabrics. There's some that work better than others. Okay. I use a lot of Ruby Star. I am a Ruby Star maker, which helps a bit as well. But I really like their colors, and their fabric is a little bit more finely woven. So when you are putting snips into seam allowances, it's not pulling apart as easily. Okay. So I use art gallery fabrics is also nice and fine. Batiks tend to be a bit finer woven.
So consider really more tightly woven type of things versus something.
If it's a bit more loosely woven, you tend to get a more like the threads pull out before you have a chance to actually get it basted.
Okay. Well, these are just so yummy and so delightful. They're definitely very intimidating on the scale.
But they're quick. You can practice a lot in a small amount of time.
Yes. Well, it's been a delight to meet you and
thanks very much
some
for
of your
me.
fun things that you've got here. And so we'll be watching you to see what other little tiny things you come up with in the future, or large, because you said you like large and tiny.
Maybe I'll go really big.
You'll go monstrously large. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll just do one big circle.
Right. Well, thank you so much. It's been great having you here.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
fun, right? And as I mentioned, and Kristen's on right now, I was talking about this interview with Lilo, and I said, "Oh, I was going to text Kristen and say you got to watch this because this is the kind of stuff Kristen does." All right. She loves the itty bitty 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 bitty. And then Lilo goes, "No, she was there. She was losing her mind. She was there." So I want to say that I'm sad. That's the end of what and Kristen were able to get at QuiltCon. But I got somebody made this comment, and I thought it was quite the compliment. And when Lilo and we go to shows, we try and bring you new people or somebody that we know and love. Like Victoria Findlay Wolf is doing something brand new. Okay, yay. But I think this time we had a delightful spread of what is going on in our wonderful tactile world. So, congratulations, Lilo, Kristen, Justin, Mary Kay. Thank you so much for what you brought to us and for our, what do we call it, Wednesday quickie, or no, I don't say Wednesday sniggle it or whatever, not a full show like on Monday. Okay. On Monday, but I have more to tell you. On Monday, we're going to do the fly stitch. And you might have heard my paper wrestling while you guys are watching, but it's in the stems here. It's really very, very easy. The other thing you'll note is that there are chain stitches like what we were doing around the edge last this earlier this week. There are chain stitch kind of grasses down here. And if you don't know exactly where to place them, I would say just do it and have at it. Let me grab this one. If you don't know exactly where to place it, you can do an overlay like of clear vinyl or something that you might get at the hardware store and trace out this whole thing, all right? Trace out on the vinyl, and then you can put the vinyl down on top of your piece that you're working on and make appropriate guesses on where you're going to do things. The other thing is when we originally did the pattern, we these were all dark ink and it was very confusing to me. So Kristen went back and made the chain stitch dark, and then the this is the quilting lines, the thin ones. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the fly stitch. Yay. And then you can fill in some of these chains down here. All right. The Bay Area has always been a hotbed for quilting. Always. I've been here for quilting here forever, for since 79. And I mean, we had C&T Publishing, we had P&B Textiles, fantastic quilt shops, etc. And there was this gentleman that I never had the chance to meet in Berkeley. He was a legend, Eli Leon, and it was in Berkeley. I just said that. And he was a collector and appreciator of African American quilts to the point, and he passed, I think, in 17 or 18, to the point that he ended up with 3,000 quilts by African American artists. BAMFA right now in Oakland is having an exhibit of, no, BAMFA got all of the quilts, all 3,000 quilts. And right now, and let me tell you something, if a museum takes your quilts, that's a big deal because they've got to store this stuff somewhere, all right? But right now, uh, they have a beautiful display of these quilts that were made from African Americans in the Bay Area, kind of right after or during World War II plus. A lot of these people are gone. And my girlfriend Patty went there for a private opening, and a lot of these people are deceased at this point, but they were like grandchildren saying, "That's my grandma's quilt." She said this exhibit profoundly changed her. Here's another couple quilts in the gallery. Now, there was a woman named that I never met either, I don't believe, Rosie Lee Tompkins. And she was an artist in this area that was exceedingly prolific, and a lot of her work would be shared at the Richmond Art Museum. Now, what's really interesting, because this jogged a thing for me way back in the day, 35 years ago, no, maybe even 40. We lived in Pinole for maybe 10, 12 years. I know I left Livermore and we came back, and they had an exhibit there of quilters in the area. Now, Richmond at the time was very, very, very African American. And for some reason, I lived in Pinole, as I just said. I got invited to be one of the participants, one of the 5 or 6 artists in with these African American quilts. And my parents came. They said it was probably the best exhibit they ever went to. Uh-oh. Um, and I was so young and stupid. Okay, here we go. I'm on a live. Is the house burning? Okay. Oh, sorry. I did not appreciate the greatness of me being involved with this particular museum. And I wish I could go back and find out more. I think probably I didn't have the grace to really understand it, was that I was too young. I was a mom with young kids barely surviving, okay? But one such maker, as I said, was Rosie Lee, and they said she often, sorry, I got discombobulated with the dare calling. She would have exhibits there at the Richmond Art Museum. Here is another one of her pieces. And so I was talking to Patty, who was at that thing, and she told me something. How did all these African American quilt makers end up in the Oakland, Richmond area? How did that happen? How did these 3,000 quilts get here? During World War II, the women would leave the South and come to Oakland, Richmond, Berkeley for to be Rosie the Riveters. And so there was this influx of people coming, bringing their craft with them. And I thought, boy, that is really interesting. So if you have it's going to be up. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to be up, but it is up right now at BAMFA, BAMPFA in Oakland, I believe. I don't think it's Richmond, it's Oakland. And it might well be worth it to go there. I'd always heard about Eli. I never had the opportunity to meet him, but he was highly educated and had a penchant to get these quilts. And thank you, universe, that he got it into a museum textile setting where they can be kept together and, as a group. 3,000 quilts. Where would you put 3,000 quilts in your place? Where? I don't know. I don't know. But I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought it was pretty cool, the Rosie the Riveter tie-in and all that. So, oh, good. Thank you for putting it up. There it is. Um, can you get some pictures? If so, send them. Uh, have fun. I use transparencies, Carol said too, for placement. I didn't even think about that until I saw on the forum where Helen showed how to do that. So you can go take a look at that. Oh, I wish I could go up there too. Oh, I love seeing names that I know, because every time I see a name I know, like Patty, like, of course, Barbara, I see your lovely face in my soul. So, all right, no D this Friday. She's got something going on. If you missed last Saturday, if you've wondered how to take a pieced block pattern and turn it into foundation paper piecing, she did that. So if you missed that, you might want to check it out. I'll see you Monday. We'll do the fly stitch. You've got plenty to work on with that chain stitch between now and then. I can guarantee that. So Okay, so Alice is saying that Quilt National is in Athens, Ohio through Labor Day. Amazing quilts. Oh my gosh, that's one show I've never been to, Quilt National. And that would be really something to see. I appreciate that we can get together collectively worldwide and then throw things out like what Alice just said. Okay, so then Peg just said, sadly, federal grants for restoration and storage of these quilts, these particular quilts, has been slashed, of course. They need donations. And I think that's true across the board with a lot of our museums and stuff. We have to support it because we understand how important this is. Thank you, Peg, for bringing that up. Paul, I'm glad you're home safe and sound. Have a great weekend, and I think I'm gonna go order that kit. I think I am. I've never done that. It's okay, right? It's okay. Have a good one. I appreciate you taking time out of your day or evening, wherever you are, to spend time with me. And if you need to get hold of me, like say for a Bernina $100 card, or need to send me a question or anything, well, number one, go to the forum if it's about the project. All right. There are people on there that are way more consistent than me, but I do get on it. And Helen takes pretty good care of that. Um, but but my email is alexandrsn at gmail. And if it's a technical problem that you're having on the site, you can tell me about it. I can't fix it, but I can get you into somebody's hands that can fix it.